the Nerve Center. This is the first behind-the-scenes look at what will happen on draft day with the NFL teams. And across the street from here, behind the scenes in the Logan Hotel, the main hotel for the NFL, the number one topic of discussion is what NFL teams will do now about Ohio State cornerback Gareon Conley. It's pretty clear that he was moving up on a lot of draft boards as the draft approached. As a matter of fact, a number of teams told me had him in the top 5 and the number 1 corner on the board. But with these 11th hour allegations coming out, a lot of teams are scrambling on 2 fronts, I'm told. One, they are recalibrating their draft boards. One of those teams, the Philadelphia Eagles, who had Conley rated very highly as a cornerback in this draft. And secondly, on a parallel course, they are reaching out to the Cleveland Police Department. Here is a copy of the police report that I had emailed to me. And when I talked to the Cleveland Police Department, they said several teams have called for the report. When I asked how many, the police department detective told me, quote, "It's so many calling, it's been a blur," Wendy.
Sal, thank you. That's exactly what they should do, because what is necessary right now is additional information. But you've been there, Mark, as a GM. What do you do, especially when news like this comes so close to the draft?
Yeah, it's a tough situation. You are scrambling, trying to gather information. And obviously most clubs have a very seasoned director of security. I think this is one of those times where you send one director of security up to Cleveland, you send another one back to Columbus, Ohio, at Ohio State, one of your scouts to there to go back and really redig on the character, because it does sound out of character. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. So I think you're spending a lot of time over the next 24 hours trying to gather as much as you can to make an educated decision on where you place him on your board.
To pull the curtain back just a little bit more to yesterday morning, when we started to get an idea that this could be a situation, I had NFL teams reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, do you guys know who this is? Like, do you know who it is?" And we just don't know yet, because the name had been withheld in the initial report by the local TV station in Cleveland. So you start to reach out to teams and say, "Does anybody know who this is?" NFL teams have less than 72 hours, basically, to process this information, gather as much facts as they can, and then make a decision about where Gareon Conley fits. If talent was the only part of this equation, it's obvious. But all of a sudden now you're talking about making a multi-million-dollar investment in a player that has this legal situation hovering over him.
Well, and I think Bill Polian made a great point about this last night. What you don't want to do is make that investment for a player who is unavailable,
right,
who through no fault of your own may be taken out of your hands. He's not allowed to be on the field for various reasons.
And if these accusations prove to be true, obviously that is they're disparaging. The actions are there's no place for them. If they do not prove to be true, then all of a sudden you have a situation where a player's draft stock could significantly tumble for something he may not have done.
Significantly tumble. I mean, we just went through this a couple of years ago with Lyle Collins, him being charged with murder and then ended up being not guilty of any kind of charge. No charges were brought against him, and he went from a first-round pick to undrafted. So, I mean, there is